Hello, hello, hello to our second token holder briefing. Today we will cover the Q3 of 2024. As you know, this is our second go. Thank you very much to those that attended the first one. We've really listened. You provided us a lot of feedback. And if we can move on to the next slide, please. This is what we've heard, that we should make content more visible, especially for those that are attending on the move, so on the mobile. And this is why we're using this new system that frankly is a little bit freaky, that countdown. I was just standing there, having like goosebumps. So, but it works amazingly well. Second thing you told us is that spend more time on product demos and give us more details. And this is exactly the reason why today we're actually going to start with product updates first. And last but not least, you asked for Q&A space at the end, and we will definitely have it. So what you're going to see through the course of the next 45 minutes is Michael Brink, our head of product, is going to take you through product updates and will give you demos of stuff that you most probably have not seen yet, and that is up and coming. And I believe that some of it is going to go live within very, very short period of time after this stream. Then you're going to hear from Misha, our CMO, about marketing and Token 2049, which was our first big event that we invested quite a lot of time and effort and really made a big splash. And last, I will come back and talk to you about tokenomics and ecosystem, and we'll give you all the details about the burn vote that some of you have asked some detailed questions on. So without further ado, Michael, over to you.
Lovely. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the stream. Still a steady inflow of users joining, but we can't delay anymore. So let's get started and chat about, before we get into the fun stuff, we'll have a quick recap of what we've been busy with the last 3 months in terms of the 3 product teams, Horizon, Play, and 0x, that have been building the stuff that you're all using. In terms of utility, Sweat as Gas is actually rolled out a while ago, but now fully rolled out on all versions and both platforms to all users. The value of an active day research, parts 1 and 2. I think Misha may touch on that a little bit later. Some of you have been spending a lot of sweat buying Amazon gift cards and eBay and Steam and Uber and I don't know what else. In fact, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this. Please slow down and give your friends a chance, because these things are selling out within 2 days. So clearly the rewards.
That's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem. Just to be clear, if you go to the reward section of the app, you now see buy offers and prizes. So prizes are like reward opt-ins, and buy offers are things that you could spend your sweat on in exchange for a digital product, like a gift card or something like that, that you can go and use to spend and buy something in the real world. Evaporation has been live for a while. That's still ongoing. In terms of user growth, we have rolled out several things. Fast auth together with magic keys. Guys, what this means in short is the painstaking process of having to access Sweat Wallet by first going through Sweatcoin and then opting into Sweat Wallet from there. I know what you're thinking. You're a promoter. You want to show your friends at a barbecue how cool this app is, but then it takes them more than 2 minutes and they're not very impressed. That problem is gone. Okay, you can now go to the App Store or to the Play Store. You can download Sweat Wallet directly. No need to touch Sweatcoin. Obviously, the first thing you're going to want to do once you've downloaded and registered is opt into Sweatcoin so that we can validate that you're human, we can validate your steps, and you can earn sweat. Okay, but the couple onto that is that we also have introduced magic keys or social keys. And all this means that if you're not in the mood for remembering your seed phrase and looking after it, or if you are like my wife that doesn't want to pay for Gmail extra storage, and so you just delete all your old emails irrevocably, and then you lose your seed phrase in the process and maybe some money, then you can now use magic keys, something that's going to hang around a bit longer, like your Apple ID or your Google ID. And we'll actually be demoing that today. Multi-language support. tweaking the different languages, adding them to all parts of the app. I think it's all parts of the app now for the languages we support. There's going to be an app facelift that you'll see today, mostly centered around portfolio and your balance and your asset holdings. There's also been a facelift to JARS and introducing the ease of use to restake sweat. So you don't have to go and find a jar that's unlocked and that sweat is just sitting there idle. You can put it to good use. Then trade. Trade actually had some improvements that were recently released. And then unfortunately, Orderly, our provider, has ceased to provide their service. We have got an alternative solution for that. We could chat about that, perhaps, Oleg, in the questions at the end of the session. Although,
absolutely,
the focus of today's demos. Claiming sweat, claiming all your sweat with a single swipe now from multiple sources is also live and rolled out to everybody. We've got the sweat GameFi experience, also called Play Hub. You will find it at the bottom right of your lower nav bar in the app. And we'll also see that today because some of the features we're going to be showing you are sitting right there in the Play Hub. And then finally, the introduction of Transact as an additional on-ramp source for buying sweat. All right. That is 2024 so far. And the stuff I've left out of there is the stuff that I'm about to show you. Okay, and then in terms of what's next, so the Telegram game, or these games are called mini apps. All right, Sweat mini app is called Sweat Wallet Lite, and I'm not gonna say more on that because that one you're gonna see as part of the 3 demos that we're doing. I've mentioned a bit about best in 3 onboarding. We're just adding more to that. So if you're an iOS user, you can choose to use your Apple ID or your Google ID, not necessarily just Apple ID for iOS users, and so on. That's around magic keys and fast auth, and then step-based jars. It's going to be an interesting one where we're going to bring biometrics and your physical activity into Sweat Wallet directly, and the rewards that you earn, the yield percentage that you earn, will literally be based on how much you walked the previous day. So it's going to be a 24-hour cycle to calculate what you earn the next day. The simple thing is walk more, earn more. Balance boosters. This is these are like sweat vouchers. So you can now buy sweat on an NFT, similarly to buying a Starbucks gift card. And when you scratch out that 16-digit code and present it at the cashier, you can now do that. You can unbundle your gift card and move your sweat into your balance. It's an easier way to get hold of sweat. Some users struggle to use the existing on-ramp providers with credit and debit cards. Balance boosters is a way to get higher approval rates and make sure that more users are able to get hold of sweat. The other cool thing is you can gift sweat to friends now as a gift card with the fiat value displayed as well. I know you could in theory send someone sweat, but the gift card looks nicer. And when you unbundle it, there's a nice animation that makes you feel good. I know you all like that. And then multi-chain. This is if everything else was the vegetables and the potatoes, this is the meat for today. This is going to be showing you on mainnet in Sweat Wallet, activating 5 EVM chains, all within Sweat, sending and receiving a different currency on a different chain in Sweat Wallet using your Sweat as gas. Okay, and then we can just chat about the relaunch of Sweat Euro as well, especially for our iOS users who haven't been seeing it, and what the changes will be when we relaunch Sweat Euro. This is all 2024 still. So it's been a busy year, and it's going to end up with a bang.
Can I just chip in, guys? I'm especially excited about step-based jars because this is active income. You know, your earning and your ability to basically generate returns depends on how active you are, because our mission is to make the world more physically active and effectively make you healthier and wealthier. That is going to help people to put one foot in front of another. And if you think about it, that would mean that if you are on a free subscription, you will get 10%, depending on how much you walk. But if you're on a premium subscription, you can push it all the way to 20%, again, depending on how active you are. So all of a sudden, it is literally in your feet and in your desire to walk how much you're going to be able to earn. Those active will be able to earn a heck of a lot more. Those that sit on kind of on their butt, probably less so. But this is exactly the change that we're trying to bring to the world. Sorry, Mike.
No, thanks. That's great. Okay, so I think we're going to go into demos now. So the first thing that we're going to be releasing today, or that I'll be showing you, is, man, we should have had a drum roll sound effect. Warren, for next time, maybe we can do the drum roll. Okay, but this is our mini game called Sweat Wallet Lite. Why did we build a Telegram mini app? Guys, because we're in crypto. It's the flavor of the week. Come on. No, not really. Kind of. Look, to get the whole world moving more, to get the whole world earning sweat, to get the whole world more physically active, to onboard 1 billion users, people actually need to hear about Sweat Wallet and about the fact that their movement has value. And the way you do that is through telling people about it. And the way the world is right now with the competing platforms, Telegram is just a fantastic vehicle to do that. Also, we know that you've been asking for a referral program where you can earn sweat. This combines gameplay and something exciting. And for the old schoolers, anyone over 35, raise your hand. Come on, we all played Snake on those Nokia 3310s in the early 2000s. Okay, this game takes a bit of inspiration from Snake. I guess I can't say credit to Nokia because, I mean, the game's going to be nicer than that. But the big one here is incentivizing you all to invite people to Sweat Wallet, to play, to earn, and to get some sweat in your hands so that you can start putting that sweat to work. Okay, so I think I'm going to actually just switch here and do a screen share. Okay, the big news is this will be releasing. Yeah, Muji, I'm also showing my age. This game will be releasing today, and we will be sharing the invite link with you all, the link to Telegram. And then let me quickly show you what you will see once you open that link. Okay. So I'm going to share my entire screen here. Okay.
New platform, let's see, does it work? Drum roll. Yes.
Can you guys see my screen? You can?
Yes, it's working.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. So let's first talk about where's the entry point. Where are you going to see this feature? Guys, there's two parts. Okay, the first part is here at the bottom right in Play Hub. There you'll be able to see the game. Okay, it's not featuring there for me right now because we're about to release it. The other part is going to be here in Claim All, because obviously you're going to be earning sweat for inviting friends and for actually playing the game and getting high scores and things like that. And so when you swipe to claim, you'll be claiming from any sweat earned directly from Sweat Wallet Lite. But it's also an entry point. So you can just go right here and you can say play on Telegram. We can open that up. And here's the game. Okay. So a couple things that we're looking at. First of all, there's a quick tutorial. Only get the flashing feet. Okay. Don't get a foot if it's not flashing. The snake has to basically go around a map and eat feet. Also, you can't go into a wall. You also can't go into yourself, for that matter. You can't go into your own body by making a right angle turn. So you have to dodge yourself, you have to dodge the walls, and you have to only get the flashing feet. Okay, there's two modes. You can play with keys, up, down, left, right, or you could swipe up, down, left, right. Because I'm already on this whole age joke thing, I'm going to go with keys. Okay, just to stay in line. Earn. We didn't want to excite everyone too much today. Okay, so earn's coming soon, and this will be like a bunch of quests where you guys can earn even more sweat. When I say sweat, you'll actually notice you earn steps. And at the time of claiming, those steps convert to sweat at exactly the same minting ratio as walking. Similarly to spin the wheel. You actually earn, for instance, 6,000 steps or whatever the case may be, and that converts to sweat. Okay, so there'll be some earn quests coming soon. What you guys can do immediately today is go and invite some friends, either by copying the code or just tapping invite friends and opening up your share tray and just picking some friends that you can directly send them an invite to. Okay, so start inviting friends. I think you get around 150 steps for each invite, so go wild. That's the whole point of Telegram. Abuse that contact list. Get them to play. Okay, let's have a
wait, before we move on. Yeah, you know what? Go into the gameplay first, then we can talk about potential. Go.
Okay. So here we go. It looks like this. Wow, that's a hard start right in the corner. Actually, I need to do my commentator's voice. He's taking a right turn. There are many obstacles here on the course. He decides to. He's going for the quick one. He sees another one. Oh, is he going for 2 in a row? Yeah. Game over. Okay, guys, you lose a life every time you die. You have 3 lives, and if you lose all your lives, in fact, I'll intentionally lose 1 more life. I mean, I don't want to die with no score. There we go. You can see your lives will replenish, and there's a bit of a countdown timer. Ignore the countdown timer. Ignore the number of lives. This has not been released yet. That's why this is just on a test mode for 45 minutes here. And once the countdown timer refreshes, we'll share what those actual stats are with you in a bit. Your lives replenish, and you can go again. Of course, the swipe-based game, I can't show you that now because I should have actually played one with a swipe. But you guys get the point. That is Snackoleg, the official name. And Misha, did you want to make some comments on the game before we move on to the next thing?
Yeah, I want to hear your ideas on growth potential here. We're talking about 3 million monthly active users on Sweat Wallet. Referral program as going into the so close to 1 billion people app of Telegram. What do you think the users of Sweat can actually do with this?
I see humongous potential here. I actually want to start maybe one step back. Of course, there was a lot of screaming and shouting about tappers that you've all kind of seen. And the reason why we didn't go into that game quickly was simply because of the fact that more than 90% of active accounts on a lot of those tappers are bots. And we are not in the game of rewarding bots. We're in a game of making you physically active. So we needed to figure out how to create a gameplay that cannot be automated. And technology, as well as the way the whole thing is developed, is making it virtually impossible for a bot to play this game. I'm not going to go into details because that would be revealing, kind of too much of, of the architecture. But there is another protection that we put in place, which is you, as Michael said, are earning steps here. And in order to convert them into Sweat, you would need to install Sweat Wallet, where we have an opportunity to confirm that someone is human. So to give you perspective, you probably heard the dogs launch when they were talking about 60 million active users. If you go and you look now at the number of accounts holding dogs, you would realize that it's less than 5 million. And because in order to claim that airdrop, you needed to confirm certain things, and basically it's only been humans that could do that. That gives you a feel that more than 90% of those active players were bots. We wanted to take our time and make sure that we're not attracting wrong people, that we're not wasting our time on bots, but we want only real humans that are interested in being physically active that are joining this. And another thing, I know, and some of you complained about this to me privately, that there is only amount of time that you have in a day where you can actually take steps. And sometimes you just have a downtime when you're in public transport and you're sitting down. Look at it as an alternative way of walking, but using your phone. The most important thing from the tokenomics perspective to know about this, that when you convert the steps into Sweat, this is not newly minted Sweat, because Sweat can only be born out of genuine physical activity. These payments that will be generated will be coming out of treasury. So all of this game is not going to be increasing circulating supply of the token.
Yeah, that's a pretty important point, that it's being funded from treasury. Thanks for sharing that as well, Alec.
Yeah.
All right, Misha, should we move to the next one?
I believe so. I would love to kind of delve deeper into this amazing kind of foundation that we have where we combat bot activity. But I'll get into that later on in the live stream instead. So go ahead, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Sweat.
can I just respond to this? I also feel that there will be two types of users. There will be users that will love to play the game, and that's the reason why they would pop into it. But I think they will probably invite one or two people. But then there would be people that would actually be inviting quite a lot of their friends. So that's the reason why we kind of separated the two tabs, because we feel that some people naturally lean towards one, and other users will lean towards the other.
Yeah,
Walk
good
into
comment.
AI.
I saw someone in chat actually say they haven't had a good reaction from their friends. It's true. Not all games are for everyone. Use it then for referring and earning. 100%. All right. Walk into AI. Before I demo this, I just want to say a couple of things about AI. So why did we do AI? And I don't know if we actually communicate this that well. We've made a copy change that will be deployed this week that should better explain it. But we wanted to, okay, so firstly, this started with a bit of user research where we looked at, we put a survey out to about 2,800 odd users, Sweat users, and got their interest in AI. And most people don't trust AI. They would like to see a comparative answer to see, is this really a good answer or is it not a good answer? The second problem is most humans, like regular people like you and me, don't really have access to enterprise grade AI engines. We use the free stuff, the ChatGPT that we get and whatever model that's on right now, that's on freemium version. Whereas enterprises obviously pay tens of thousands of dollars to get enterprise grade engines. And so we wanted to, in a sense, democratize AI and make it accessible to people like you and me by Sweat paying the premium, Sweat as in Sweat the company, paying the premium for those licenses to those enterprise grade models, and also having licenses to multiple models. And so that's the first part, giving you access to really good AI engines. And the second one is giving you multiple answers on a question. This is what the survey said, 70% of users are interested in seeing multiple responses because they don't trust one response. So giving a series of responses for you to decide which answer is best suited for you. So that is...
And also comparing the three prevents from, kind of catching something that was a hallucination. Because if all three models deliver a consistent result, then you can definitely trust it. If one is on a wacky whatever journey, then you know that something is off here. So having three triangulates and gives you a lot more confidence in the quality of the answer.
100%. So guys, what we're doing is, I just want to mention this as well before I give the example, we're not putting any markup on the fees that we're paying. In fact, we are granularizing the fee per API call, meaning that you're paying less than what you would have paid if you had to buy an entire license and never use it up, if you get what I'm saying, because multiple users are sharing access to that. So we are not making any markup on the fee that you see inside Sweat AI. And the gas fee is actually, you're paying less than if you had to pay this fee to send the Sweat to get the response than if you were using your own app and paying the fees in Near as a native gas token. So those fees are actually discounted at the moment by 5%. So we are marking down the gas fees and we are breaking even on the fee that we're using to pay to the engine. So I wanted to make sure that that's very well understood. And that's how we can make it accessible in an affordable, scalable way. Okay.
And Mike,
I know there
just
are some interesting
quick
ideas
comment
around... Yes.
From someone on X. There's more than 1,000 live viewers right now on X, and one of them, Ino Balan, is asking, will Grok be integrated? So maybe you can talk about which models we're actually using.
Yeah. Well, we are deciding either as a replacement or as a fourth model. I think between Grok and Claude, they're both very I wouldn't say controversial, but interesting models that are being well adopted. So I think You know, if users like this feature, there's no reason to keep scaling and adding as many engines, or letting the user handpick which engines they want answers from, or adapting this feature as we go forward. For now, we just want to see the adopted use of the feature. But Grok is a really interesting prospect. I agree with that.
Yeah, we have access to both, and we are looking into integrating. And you know what? Maybe we can even run a vote. Well, maybe it's just too heavy-handed, but some sort of a vote in Discord or in Telegram to see, you know, which model would you like to kick out and what model would you rather see there. So give us your feedback once you used it. You know, we would be very, very keen listeners.
Yeah. Right. And so the last thing I wanted to mention about AI out of the survey and why we built this is a lot of, I didn't even realize this, like Meta baked into WhatsApp is not available in the UK because it's not jurisdictionally licensed, but it is in South Africa, where I'm from, for instance. So a lot of users simply don't have mobile level access to AI engines, or they don't know it exists, or they know it exists, but they have no idea how it can add value to everyday life, like at your fingertips on your phone. So as a practical example, I did a motorbike license this morning. And just before I did the license, you do a bike walk around. And I forgot what the allowable tread of the tire is. It has to be more than 1 millimeter. So I quickly Googled the answer before the instructor came. And all I got was adverts for tire manufacturers. And it took me like 5. And then eventually I just stopped. I stopped because the instructor was coming. I opened Sweat Wallet. I asked AI. 2 of the 3 answers were garbage. And the third one was fantastic and answered the question. And there I had my answer in 30 seconds. So that's using AI to actually make your life easier. If I knew how to cook, I'd be asking for recipes, but Misha can comment on that one later. All right,
that's
guys,
an amazing little story, by the way, Mike, I have to say, about real life use case, man. Congrats on that.
Yeah, so I actually used AI today because I really needed to. So
no, you used Sweat AI, not only AI.
Sweat AI. Thank you. Yeah, otherwise I would have had to make 3 different requests to 3 different engines. Correct. Okay, I'm going to do a screen share again for everyone here. Let's bring this up. Okay. Just can Misha, Ollie, can one of you just comment that it's rendering?
Yep, we can see.
Oh, good.
Great. So where can we find Sweat AI? None other than PlayHub. Yeah, bottom right again. And you can see it's right here at the top as one of our featured PlayHub items. And there are a couple of questions over here that just if you're looking for a prompt to get started and you're not really sure what to ask, you can quite literally ask any question. You can see in my history, this is actually where I asked the question about the tire tread this morning. You can see ChatGPT gave me a great answer of 1 millimeter. Gemini told me some stuff about the Automobile Association of South Africa. And Meta just quite simply told me about the speed limit, which I actually needed to read more about, if I'm being honest, but it didn't help me for that particular question. So ChatGPT really helped me. I went ahead and liked that answer. I can also copy that answer and share it with a friend. But to make this demo real, let's ask an actual question. I should actually have had this chat open and take a real question from the audience. But let me just say, what is currently the best video streaming platform? I don't know. You see, the problem with asking this with Google is that the company who pays the most for ads, that's the answer you're going to see first. Okay, but anyways, so I'm going to swipe. I'm going to use my Sweat to cover the gas and the service fee. Okay, and at this part, we are collecting and sanitizing and or packaging those 3 answers. And I guess depending on the complexity of the question or the length of the question, you may have to wait a couple seconds longer here for these engines to put their brains to work and scour their LLMs to get the best response.
This is also the benefit of using enterprise platforms, because this will always be faster than free services out there.
Yeah. All right, so this answer was from ChatGPT. Okay, I should have said for video conferencing. That is my mistake. So this is now going in terms of, Netflix, Disney Plus. Okay, I could have told you guys this. We don't need an AI to get answers like these. I could have told you that. This is from Gemini. But okay, you see, this is nice because they actually split this into original content, live sports, family, for value, and so on. And in this case, the third engine actually didn't come up with a credible or good enough answer. So there's only two answers. Or it's still thinking, by the way. If I go to history, sometimes you can actually see if this thing eventually came up with an answer, our third model, which is Meta, you would have actually seen Meta's answer there as well. I'm going to go and like Gemini's answer because it just makes the most sense. I like that they categorized it. They even got price and other factors to consider. Very nice.
And when a user likes it, what does it do on our side?
Right. So when a user, I guess I can close this. When a user likes it, we basically store that answer, and we can start reusing that information to learn on our side which models we either upsell or downsell, or feed this information back to the community or even to the providers themselves, just to basically say, well, why? It's not just about which answer you like the most. It could be for a certain style of question, maybe a political question, which some models are a bit more biased on. But when you ask a more sort of scientific question, you see like more regular, unbiased answers. Some users like that, some users don't. So I think the point about data and big data is the more data you generate, the more data you learn from, the better the user experience.
And we might also use these learnings to publicize actually which of the enterprise grade model are working better in this part of the world or in that part of the world. So don't be surprised if we actually publish something after a week or two of operation when we have decent enough data set.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one.
Let's go into the most exciting. Yes.
Okay. Right. So the next slide is 1. How do you all feel about that? One wallet. Thank you.
I feel whole,
Mr.
singular.
Okay. Now, let me not draw out the suspense. One wallet, one key. Well, let's do this properly. Guys, one wallet to view all assets on all chains. Right now, you can only view near-based assets on one chain in Sweat Wallet if you go to your portfolio. One key to manage any action. Right now, you would need to use many keys to manage many actions if those actions were split across many chains. Because in the way blockchain works is a key pair is associated and programmed to commit actions on a certain network protocol. Now you can use a single key to commit actions on any protocol. Okay, we're going to see how that works. And then finally, one token to pay fees for any transaction. Again, how is it today? Today, you would need to hold balance of multiple native assets for those chains to pay the gas fees. Meaning if you wanted to send your friend some Ether on Ethereum, you would need to hold a little bit of Ether to pay the gas fee to send the Ether. Okay, now you can use your Sweat to cover those gas fees on a completely different destination chain. Okay, so drum roll and hand applause machine is missing, Mr. MC.
You can do that. Come on.
Yay. Okay. I see the chat is trying to get in on this, but it's just never the same when you're typing. Okay, so let's have a look at this and what this looks like and what this means for you when this goes live. Okay. By the way, this is the one of the flagship features that we presented live in Singapore at Token 2049. Okay. So I'm going to do a screen share here again for the third time as we go into the third and final demo. Is my screen sharing? Or rather, is my wallet showing?
Yes, it's showing.
Fantastic. Okay. So if you all go to portfolio, you will not see what I see. You will see, as I mentioned, one chain and all the assets on that single chain. What you're going to see is a portfolio page that looks like this. And the first thing is, this is an asset first view. meaning you don't have to worry if you're holding 16 assets on 15 different chains or 1,000 assets on 20 different chains. You'll be able to view your assets similarly to opening up your real life leather wallet and seeing you have some dollars and some euros without needing to know in which country minted those currencies and where you can spend them. Okay, so right now, I have what you have. I have Sweat and I have Near. I've got a bit of Near, maybe a little bit more than you guys. I got 2 Near. And I can see my Near balance and I can see my Sweat balance. So what we're going to do is when you go deposit, at the moment, you would just be copying your current address, which is your Near-based address, to receive some Sweat from a friend. Now we're going to be able to activate these 5 networks in 2024, and we can chat about next networks as we move into 2025. But for now, it's going to be BNB Smart Chain, Ethereum, Mainnet, obviously, Optimism, Base, and Arbitrum. Okay. And I'm going to start off by activating these networks. So I'm going to create an address that is supported on each of these 5 chains. It's going to look like this. And what you guys are about to see is I'm actually going to pay the fee in ETH in Sweat. So there's a comparable fee in ETH, which is the currency for Ethereum, that equates to 15.7311 Sweat. And I'm paying a gas fee because I'm making an on-chain operation to create an address on an EVM chain. So it's an on-chain operation that's taking place, and that's why there's a gas fee. But the nice thing is I don't have to hold any ETH to do this. I'm doing this with Sweat. Here we go. Okay, so step 1, let's get our EVM address created. And it's not actually just only being created. It's being created, but also monitored and supported on these 5 chains. And that's actually done, for those that are technically inclined, through an NFT that is passing on the signature rights on behalf of the user. Okay, so there it's created. And now you guys can see it's actually the same address. If you look carefully, 0xBEC9 and ending with E05. And that's because these are all EVM. They belong to the same family of protocols, namely the Ethereum virtual machine. That's what EVM stands for. And but if I send ETH on ETH mainnet to the same address on a BNB network, I'm going to have a problem. Okay, so it's the same address, different networks. And I can copy this address. I can view this address. I can share this address with a friend if I want to. So what I'm going to do now is we can go with BNB Smart Chain. So I'm going to send myself some BNB for the first time. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to send myself BNB from a completely different wallet. And I'm going to use MetaMask. And I've already got my, you can see at the top there, I've got my BNB chain active. I've got a little bit of BNB in this account. And I'm going to go here and say send. Let me paste the address that I just copied to my clipboard. Great, it's validated. And I will send myself some amount that we can remember, 7993, something like that, some weird number. And that's about $4.76 worth of BNB. I'm going to go next. There is my amount. There is my charges, and I can send. This thing says likely to be confirmed in 15 seconds. Okay. So there it seems to have been submitted and sent and signed on BNB. So if I switch back to Sweat Wallet and I go back here, boom, there it is. 0.07993 BNB. If I go to my chart here, I can actually see I now have a third asset, which is BNB on BNB Smart Chain. And I can open that up. And I can, if this was actually on a different chain, I know this is confusing for some people. It's like you can have the same asset class existing on different chains. Like you can have USDC on Near, but you can also have it on ETH, and you can also have it on Arbitrum. Okay, USDC on 3 different chains. You can have many assets on many different chains. In this case, I have BNB on BNB Smart Chain, and I can see it. All right. Man, I wish I could see everyone's faces, because in the crowd, in real life, you can see that glazed look and some people leaving out the back to get more snacks. But I hope everyone's still engaged and understanding and watching what's just happened. It's
a few
actually quite
comments, Mike.
significant.
Bonaz is saying that I think this will be the biggest thing in the crypto world. Victor is saying this is an easy feat to achieve. Kudos to the team. And you know, there's a lot of amazing feedback here from the community. And eventually, what the team has built is true multi-chain experience for mass adoption, where it doesn't matter which chain you're on, it doesn't matter what gas token you need to use. In Sweat Wallet solution, you need only one wallet with a 1-year account. You need one key to control all transactions, and you need one token to send any transaction or pay any gas fees across all chains. And I mean, what you built is absolutely astonishing. So kudos to you and the product team, man.
Wow. Misha, I just want to make sure you're not only reading the nice comments, are you?
That's exactly what I
absolutely
wanted to say. I've seen one that was saying, oh, the gas fees are too high. And I wanted to step in and say, actually, for the purposes of the demo, and we had this conversation with Michael, what has been chosen is to push fees to the highest point to make sure that they go through, rather than on some chains, it's not enough gas and we're receiving errors because, you know, kind of we are doing this live. When this is going to work, you will be able to choose, do you want to go guaranteed, or do you want to go for medium, or do you want to go pay the lowest fee, but with the highest probability that it will fail? Like, you know, I'm sure that you experience this in other wallets. This fee is the highest padded just to make sure that it goes in the next block for the purpose.
And another comment there, Mike, since you're asking, is twofold. One is asking if we will work on iPhone and Android, and another one is asking a bit of a timeline. When will this be live for everyone?
Yes, it will be live on iOS and Android, absolutely. It will be live before Christmas. Let me just leave you guys in a bit of suspense on the exact date, okay? But it will be this year and it will be before Christmas. Oleg made a comment. It is not the simplest feat. Excuse the pun, I didn't plan that. To optimize gas fee usage in a way that users who have no idea what they're doing even understand what it means to boost their gas or use a likely gas fee. So we're doing a bit of work on the back end to optimize that, as Oleg said, and catering for crypto natives and crypto newbies is kind of hard from a UI UX perspective, and we're working hard at that. As Alex said, we are just absolutely not trying to optimize our gas fees. We are almost overkilling it just so that we have a demo where the transaction doesn't take forever to get accepted by the next block. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely certain that if Ethereum mainnet was not included, it would happen faster and the cost would be a fraction of the total. I'm absolutely certain that Ethereum is probably 80 to 90% of the cost that you pay.
Yeah. Right, so let's wrap up this demo. So what have we done? We've activated an address on EVM. We've received some assets on a completely different chain inside Sweat Wallet. Let's close this demo out by sending this BNB back to a different account out of Sweat Wallet using Sweat as gas. Okay, so this is arguably the most expensive operation because address creation is quite a cheap operation. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and just fetch so to make sure I'm still on BNB, otherwise I lose my funds. Yes. So I'm going to just go and use that address. I'm going to go send. I'm going to send BNB. I'm going to paste my address. We obviously do address validation. Again, if I was holding this on different chains, I could pick a different chain entirely. But because I'm only holding this on BNB Smart Chain, I'll pick that. And I'm going to continue. Note the warning message just to make sure. And I can enter like some custom amount, but I can also just use the quick actions here to say send a quarter, send half, send all of it back. Because I have a suspicion that I'm going to be asked to demo a lot, I'm just going to send it all back so that I don't lose or just hold a bit of dusting in my wallet. But the nice thing is, hey, that's another unplanned cool thing to say. I don't have to worry. In real life, you would never do this. Why would you never do this? Because if you send all your BNB and now you want to go partake in some cool dApps airdrop, you cannot have enough, you have no BNB, so you can't even cover the gas fee to sign a feeless but not gasless transaction. That is such a frustration in the crypto world because I have sweat. So I'm actually going to send all of it back, and I don't need to worry because I have sweat as gas. I'm going to go review transfer. Again, this is a very unoptimized transaction. Note the warning message at the top, just to make sure that whoever you are sending this to sent you an address, or you scanned a QR code that is verifiably a BNB address on BNB Smart Chain. That's probably the easiest mistake to make, is to accidentally send an asset to an address on a different chain. Okay. So again, for the technically inclined, what's actually happening here in the background is 3 operations. The first one is we're collecting your gas fee in sweat. That's part 1. Then we're using what we call a multi-part computation, MPC signer service, to recognize that the gas fees have paid. And together with the NFT containing the key permissions, sending an instruction to what we call a relayer to pay the gas fees, the equivalent gas fees required to actually perform this operation on BNB, using BNB, if that makes sense.
Can you just say what you just said for anyone who has absolutely zero technical knowledge for 10 seconds?
Yes, 100%. What's happening in the background is we are making sure that the operation needed, wait, there I go again. We're making sure that if you pay this fee in sweat, the exact opposite amount needed in BNB to make this transaction go through is taking place in the way that it should. That's actually all that's happening, Misha. Because you actually still need to cover the gas fees in BNB for this to happen. And the user doesn't need to know about that. The user doesn't need to worry about that. That is a smart contract taking care of all of that. The user just needs to know that they can pay this in sweat. I just want to make sure that this hasn't actually already happened on the Block Explorer on this side. Because I can check it actually here as well. There's the transfer out. It seems like we're still waiting. So this transaction may take a couple of minutes. So guys, we may have to, I'm just looking at the time. I wonder if we can't come back here or post a hash maybe on the chat for everyone to go and see this on the Explorer if they want. It's taking a little bit longer than usual. And then we can rather use the time, Misha, for you and to wrap up on questions. I'm just cognizant of that. And,
for sure. I think that, first of all, thank you so much, Mike, for this presentation, this demo. I think it illuminates a lot about how a true multi-chain kind of chain abstracted future inside of Sweat actually looks like for not only millions, but eventually billions of people. And yeah, I think we can definitely move on because we're currently at 1,600 live viewers. And yeah, not just fantastic work to you, Mike, but to your entire product team. It is something I think anyone who's been here for more than a few years inside of crypto and Web3 knows that building a multi-chain experience that can rival the Web2 ease of use is not something that's easily done. And I think that Mike and his team is definitely on it. So amazing. Let's go through quickly what we did.
Can I just very quickly before we move to marketing answer a couple of questions that popped up. People ask, so is Sweat being exchanged for BNB? Yes, in a nutshell, we know how much BNB you need on that account in order to run this transaction. You pay in Sweat. Behind the scenes, there is a swap happening, but it's happening in such a short period of time that, in the future, what we're aiming for is you tap on a DApp, let's say on BNB, we check automatically, do you have BNB account? If you don't, we create it on the fly. And by the time that DApp is open, your account is already recognized and you can go straight away and choose what you want to do, and you will confirm your transaction in Sweat wallet. So it is going to be like a wallet connect. You probably know this technology, but working in both directions, but no private key or full access private key is going to be passed to anybody, and you will have control from Sweat Wallet of any action on any chain. And yes, you will be able to pay fees on any chain with your feet. So we want to make Sweat into universal gas token so that you never have to think about getting ETH on Ethereum, ETH on Base, BNB on BNB in order to operate there. All of that is going to be hidden. Complexity is not going to be visible. And all you have to do is just move your feet, generate Sweat, and you'll be able to run your operation whatever chain you want.
Fantastic.
Sorry. Yeah.
So let's jump into it. We get some questions here about can we do more around health and fitness and from Purity, as well as I mean, we're going to touch upon that soon. Can we get at the first slide there, Warren? Also, Bonaz asking if you can get a T-shirt like ours. Of course you can. We will make sure that if you contact us on Discord or Telegram through our moderators, we'll make sure that you get a merch box. Okay, Bonaz? So we went to Token 2049 in Singapore in September. It is the largest crypto event in the world with more than 20 to 30,000 people attending. And we did a whole day event. Why did we do this? And why do we spend so much of our effort and bring our team out there? Well, it is because building a compelling market narrative is not just saying, okay, guys, we're moving away from AI coins, meme coins, infrastructure focused to something called movement economy. It is a bit too far-fetched to attract people. It is somewhat of a long distance to just talk about something that might be already feeling quite abstract as movement as value. So we go to the next slide, Warren. What we needed to do was to present what we see as the truth of the industry. And currently we're in an infrastructure bubble, meaning that we have been focusing over the last decade on infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. And that is great to build the foundation and the foundational layer of what we can build next. But the problem with that is that we don't think as an industry about consumers or users, meaning that most of the effort and capital and founders and builders have been centering in on something that does not benefit consumers. And therefore, we want to present a new vision, and that is consumer crypto. The largest show in the world, or the largest event in the world this year was attended by around 200,000 people. It's called Consumer Electric Show, CES. And once again, consumer is where the true and sustained value of any industry is being held. So we at Sweat realized that we need to tie our movement economy into something so grounded and so relatable in crypto, such as consumer crypto, which is where we're heading, and we are spearheading this movement. So we're tying in together, next please, the movement economy with what we see as consumer crypto boom or consumer crypto adoption. So once we went there, next, we went to the Singapore event. We were housing at the Raffles Hotel, which is a fantastic venue. We got more than 150 high profile people to come and attend and talk about what is consumer crypto? How do we achieve it? What sectors do we need to support in order to get this moving? And we've been able to attract an amazing array of partners through this event. Just to mention a few: Fabrics Ventures, Spartan Capital. You know, not everything is set in stone, but a lot of things are happening on the front with Stellar, Ethermail, ChainGPT, Polygon, Chili's, and many, many more, because what they see is that Sweat is growing at an incredible rate, and now being able to tap into so many communities through chain abstraction, it's really an unrivaled value proposition. And what we're going to do next, if we see the next slide, besides that, of course, we got a lot of prominent media coverage. I really hope that you guys seen the articles. Some of them came up in Cointelegraph. I guess I call it the CNN of crypto, the largest crypto outlet in the world. One of them was talking about our academic research, the value of movement, and 10,000 steps that we did together with 3 universities and a think tank. And the other was actually speaking of a recap of the entire event. And please, Ashton or Warren, post these links in the chat because I think it's important that everybody who's here actually reads up on them. Regarding our academic research, we not only partnered up with universities, but we also got to results. So let's see what University of Birmingham came in terms of quantifying 10,000 steps in a dollar value. Next. And in terms of the individual quality adjusted life years, it's called, meaning how many years of quality life do you add by staying active and having then essentially an active lifestyle of 10,000 steps a day. They quantified it to $6.25, which is an incredible number once you quantify it over a population. And already we're looping in policymakers, supranational organizations, and the university world to see how do we extract that value, because this is essentially saying this is how much value there is. And of course, reflecting that into a market perceived value is another question. So let's move on. The University of Cadiz and Caledonian University in Glasgow came through with a very interesting DAO vote analysis that happened inside our app with more than 150,000 estimates that centered around the same question: how much should you be rewarded for walking 10,000 steps? And it is really, really interesting to see that once you actually went back, this is $5 shown on the screen, but once we went through with the entire vote, it actually came out to $6.20, which is extremely close to the experts at University of Birmingham, of course, $6.25 in terms of perceived value of movement. If we can move on to the next one. So here we have a very interesting outlier, as you can see, which is the Blockchain Research Lab, a think tank in Hamburg, not only zeroing in on 396 for an academic kind of economic value for an active day for governments and 438 for employers, but they actually were able to quantify all of them for $104 a day. I mean, this is absolutely awe-inspiring and definitely eye-opening. Whether this is something that is achievable or not in terms of creating a movement economy where literally every 10,000 steps a day that you produce is worth or can be reflected in $104 per day is something only that the future and this community can answer. But the data definitely backs it up, and we're going to continue to do research with these people, which is really it is interesting whether we can kind of zone in on what is achievable and what is essentially a paradigm shift in how we value, see, and appreciate movement. When we summarize it all, we see that moving from 0.52 as the minimum and 6.25 as the highest, we have, if you remove the outliers, of course, we have a $3.96 as a median. And I think that's a really, really good North Star to head towards, which is not only something that can change society's view on how we value movement, but also ensure that movement is not just a health habit. It's not just a way to transfer from A to B. It is actually an integral and essential part of our economic life and how we create wealth, not just as individuals, not just as employers or employees, but as a society as a whole. The Sweat DAO, as we've already touched upon, came around on 620. And of course, if we move on to the next slide, Oleg will be able to kind of see how do we close the gap of where we stand today, of what the market values and appreciates movement, and how the actual worth of potential movement is.
Thank you very much, Misha. Before we delve into this, while Misha was talking, I was actually tracking some of the questions. So let me kind of rapid fire address some of those. Yes, some of these numbers are crazy, but that was exactly the objective of this first phase of the research. Because as you can imagine, and I'm sure you experienced it as well, when you talk to somebody and you say your physical activity has value, everyone nods, 100% of people. But when you ask how much is it worth, it normally like double take. What do you mean? We know that once something is universally recognized as valuable, the next step is to actually put value on it. The reason why I'm 100% confident in this is, I'm going to show my age, but 25 years ago, I was talking to a lot of marketers who universally all agreed that attention was valuable. How much was it worth? It was causing exactly the same reaction as if I ask now, how much is physical activity? Now we know, 25 years later, the value of your attention down to 18th decimal. And in the meantime, we also built $7 trillion attention economy. We know that physical activity is going to become trillions of dollars economy, but we don't want it to function in a way attention economy works, which right now works in the following way. Google takes your attention, sells it to the highest bidder, puts all the money in the pocket, and all you get 2 gigs free with your Gmail. Now, we think that we can do better than that. That's why we're tokenizing, we're verifying movement so that it's not possible to game or defraud. Then you get the value of the token, because if you get it, that will make you more active, and that will create even more economic benefit for everybody, and it will increase value of the whole ecosystem. And you will be primary beneficiary instead of us creating another big tech company that found a very, very clever way of robbing us of the value of this asset that we create that is inherently ours. So by building on blockchain, by being decentralized, and by tokenizing physical activity, we have an opportunity to create a lot fairer movement economy where you benefit and humans around the world, billions of people benefit, without necessarily building humongous companies that then decide to use this money to try to manipulate us into a certain opinion or certain candidate in elections. So now we'll get into how are we going to close this gap, because it's huge. If you look at the value of an active day and the current token price, it would be 1 cent per day, right? And we're talking about $3.96, $6.20. I think the beauty of Sweat is that we are in a very unique position where we have an inherent, intuitively understood value in it. And I know that a lot of you feel it and understand it, because when you sweat over something, when you have to work for something, then you are attaching some value to it. Sometimes you don't even know numbers, but you know that it's not worthless. And now with this first phase of research and upcoming second phase of research, because guess what? These high numbers triggered some people go like, oh no, this is totally bonkers. The assumptions must be wrong. And we will be involving more academics, more think tanks into second phase, so that we are starting to generate consensus view as opposed to just, disparate numbers that we have at the moment. And it will take a little bit of time, but it certainly is going to be shed a lot faster than how long it took for value of attention to be created and understood. Now, how are we going to be closing the gap? Very simply, we are going to be creating more and more utility for Sweat. And in white, you see utilities that exist or in the process of being rolled out. So we have grow jars, rewards, GameFi, Sweat as gas on near chain only at the moment, plus governance. Now, what you've seen in in the demo of 111 is probably the most exciting thing that we have in our very short-term roadmap. It is making Sweat into a universal gas token, which means that all you have to have in your balance is Sweat, and then you can operate on any chain. It removes operational complexity. You know, I have probably dozens of wallets on different chains, and everywhere you need to have bits and pieces of gas. And frequently what happens is that you need to buy it, and the minimum would be $50. So for example, my wallet on Polygon has about 49.95 of Matic, well, now Pol, because all I needed was one transaction, but the minimum that I could buy was $50. Now it's wastage, right? In the world that we're building, you wouldn't need to worry about having all of those tokens, tracking that you have them, buying them in order to be able to operate there. If you have Sweat, everything will be running smoothly. And that is an incredible utility because nobody likes fees. Nobody likes to pay more fees than they absolutely have to. And here, your feet are subsidizing your fees. You literally pay your fees with your feet. And on some chains like Near or Solana, you will be able to cover your fees with your physical activity, no problem. But if you want to go on Ethereum, well, that would take a bit longer. And what would you do then? Would you want to buy ETH and pay full fat price? Or would you buy Sweat? Because no matter how much you walked, it is going to be less out of pocket because your legs have generated some value. So out of pocket, you're going to pay a lot less. And if that token is used on every other chain, that is the only token that you need to have. And if you are running short, to buy. That creates utility and that creates buy pressure. And the reason for crypto natives, not just crypto curious, to start coming to Sweat Wallet and using us as a unified cross-chain wallet across all chains. Also, Magic Keys is an incredible benefit because you know what? You only need to worry about one key. I don't know about you guys, but I have encountered situations that I put seed phrase somewhere and then I cannot find it. And here you need to think about just one key and one key only. Keys on every other chain are managed through MPC contract. It is very, very thoroughly audited and analyzed, and it's very, very secure. So this one key that now you have to really either memorize or kind of save securely will allow you to operate on any chain. And if you move to another wallet, all you need is that key as well. And everything will move with you and with that key. Next is SweatPay. Michael didn't touch on it, but we continue to do a lot of work because this is a significant interface with TradFi. It is a little bit more complicated than we originally estimated, but we remain very confident that we should be able to have some form of an MVP to you this side of Christmas. Please don't kill me because this is probably the biggest kind of uncertainty right now, but we are going hell for leather in trying to make sure that it happens. And at least a few thousand, maybe tens of thousands of you can start experimenting with this product. Long term, there are two amazing utilities that we know will generate an awful lot of value to you, but also to all token holders. One is data union. We know that your movement data is extremely valuable. We've been approached for years by companies wanting to buy this data. We never considered it, we never transferred it to anyone, we never sold it, we never monetized it, and we never will. But we've spoken to a number of data unions that can build a solution for us where you and you alone will be able to flick the switch and expose your data. And if there is analysis, if there is a willing buyer for this data, you will be rewarded with a small fee charged by the data union and DAO that will go into the value of Sweat. Last but not least is alternative movement validators. At the moment, the only validator we have is Sweatcoin, and it is only about steps. We already have been approached by companies that are doing swimming, that are doing cycling, with interest to issue Sweat to their users. this is an extremely exciting development because, you know what, creating a token, creating an ecosystem is extremely difficult, and you know, other companies know that. So the way it's going to work in the future, if we get a serious approach from a company that wants to become an alternative movement validator, we will need you, community, to look at this partner, to understand that they are verifying and validating the type of physical activity that they're specializing in extremely well. And then we will grant them access to be able to mint Sweat in parallel to Sweatcoin. This is going to bring a lot more users in the ecosystem, but it will also create demand for Sweat because these alternative movement validators would need to stake significant amount of Sweat in case they're not fulfilling their obligations around movement validation. That can be slashed as a punishment for a, you know, kind of potential nefarious or negligent behavior. So this is the path. We know where we're going, and what we need to do is to continue building that utility. But it's not the only, that's not the only thing. Can we go next slide? Also, because over the last 2 years, and you've heard this before, we actually built extremely robust Sweat tokenomics. What you see here is without numbers, because these are kind of highly sensitive, but fundamentally, every new user that is coming in and the amount of Sweat they earn from steps, from spin the wheel, from playing games, from engaging with anything and everything, is roughly the same that the amount of Sweat they are spending on transactions, they are putting into rewards, that they're putting into grow jars. So we are breaking even on supply and demand of Sweat. But what's more exciting is on each and single of these users, we're generating additional revenue in fiat or other tokens that if it was going into buybacks, which will start happening as soon as we're profitable, all of a sudden, each and single user effectively is a profitable user. And the bigger we become, the more users we bring, the healthier the whole economy is going to become. So building utility and building scale, and this Sweat Wallet Lite on Telegram that Mike has presented is our first big foray into adding additional sources of users and scale. And we want to do it with you so that we can share the benefits of growing scale and you can be rewarded for referrals. Next slide. So now I'll get to the topic that I've seen few questions already been, kind of asked. Thank you very much for participating in the vote around unclaimed Sweat from TGE. As you know, there were 160, more than 160,000 votes, which is, kind of nearly double the quorum that we set for ourselves. And it is an overwhelming victory for burning this unclaimed Sweat. Now, when on the 14th, we went for a burn, next slide, please. We realized is that actually this burn is going to be a terribly bad signal to the market. And the structure of the market is not optimal. You all know CMC and CoinGecko rankings. And you know how these rankings work. They multiply the number of tokens in circulation by the price. And if you burn a humongous amount instantly, what happens is that you lose, in our case, it would be hundreds, potentially, of rankings in CMC and CoinGecko. And sadly, a lot of investors and a lot of crypto natives and a lot of funds and a lot of market observers are using this as a indicator of kind of how the project is doing. So we would do an incredibly valuable thing for us. However, for those that are not participating in the community yet, that would be almost like a black mark. So what we are proposing, and that's what we've executed earlier today, is this 1.3 billion sweat that were unclaimed have been moved into a wallet called vote1.sweat. You can go into Nearblocks and look for yourself. You're going to see the balance there. You can also go into code and study this contract. This contract has only one method only that can be used in it. It is burn. It is impossible to extract these tokens. It is impossible to transfer these tokens. It can only be burned. And the reason why we're doing it, so that we can burn this quantity in a more reasonable space of time, so that we don't freak out people who are not here, who haven't seen this presentation, but see rankings plummeting and therefore thinking that the project is not doing well. It's exactly opposite, but the methodology is not rewarding this behavior. I'm not sure why. I believe that there should be better methodology, but we have to deal with what we have available on the market right now. What we can guarantee is that there will be monthly burn, and we will try to liquidate it as quickly as we can without creating massive disruption and sending negative signal to the market. Next slide, please. And it is the last slide. Also, as we were going through this, we also realized that we need to adjust our circulating supply calculation as you see it in CMC and CoinGecko. And the reason for it was that the original calculation was done to be comparable and par with other, where lockups are unlocked automatically and tokens are transferred to token holders at a predetermined point of time. We, as you know, use slightly different mechanism. In order to make your unlocks real time, you actually have to come into your lockup contract and claim these tokens. So in the previous calculation, we were adding all unlocked tokens to a circulating supply because these could be claimed at any moment of time for those that are holding keys to their accounts. What we realized is not all of those tokens were claimed, and therefore we were overstating circulating supply. And we want to use this opportunity to bring absolute 100% transparency. So from now on, the circulating supply is going to be calculated based on total minus just 3 contracts that are lockups. And that means that as from 10 o'clock this morning, the circulating supply would be 7.6 billion roughly, which means a reduction of 737,000 of sweat versus the previous methodology. So that's going to bring a tiny small drop in rankings, but we now have full complete transparency, and any of you can go and basically confirm these numbers without having to do any mathematical calculations. So, you know, all I can say is that initially we needed to be using methodology that we thought everybody else would be judging us as, but we're now realizing that given our architecture, given our unique path, and the number of users who hold locked tokens, that we need to do it in a lot cleaner and a lot more transparent way so that you see online numbers and you can confirm that the numbers that you see in CoinGecko and in CMC are exactly in line with what you're seeing on chain. I think that this is it. And unless Mike, Misha, there is something that I missed. No? Let's have 10 minutes Q&A. Can somebody help us with the kind of feeding the, I don't know, most frequently mentioned questions, or because as I was talking, I wasn't tracking all the questions coming in. I'm sure that there were plenty of questions about listings. Guys, we cannot talk about listings. I can guarantee you that this is something that we are paying quite a lot of attention to, but I cannot give you names, I cannot give you dates, because this is something that makes these listings impossible. As soon as anybody is bragging about stuff like that, exchanges rightly would terminate the, kind of the cooperation with the project. So unfortunately, we cannot tell you the details, but trust me, we have team working on this, and it is top of my agenda. Okay. So
let's see here. Okay, will step-based jars fully replace fixed yield jars, or will they be available along these?
You know what? They're certainly not going to be launched as a replacement, but then it's going to be based on the community and your uptake. To be honest, given the fact that it gives you an opportunity to earn up to 20% yield, but it depends on your efforts, I have a feeling that we're actually going to have a lot higher uptake of active income jars or step-based jars than what we have currently.
All right, and the next one comes in from RS Chris 1980. Are there plans for an on-off ramp, for instance, Apple Pay or bank accounts?
Mike, I think that you close it.
Yeah, I mean, effectively, this is what SweatPay is. So not necessarily providing bank accounts, but providing access to, for instance, Visa and MasterCard's rails for spending at any point of sale, where you can use your crypto and convert it to fiat directly in the form of a card. We are not licensed, and neither do we want to be licensed to provide actual bank accounts and collect KYC and all of that stuff. It makes it really hard to scale, but we can certainly work with partners to do that.
Yeah. And I think the best way to describe it, and it came from an interview with a user, the guy said, look, it's quite magical. I put one foot in front of another and I own this cents and dollars. Imagine that I could buy ice cream in the local shop with that. Exit into ice cream. That's kind of how we position it when we are talking to partners. So yeah, that's exactly the intent.
Fantastic. From Muji, I was not able to see NFTs in the new portfolio page. Will we be able to transfer NFTs using a new chain abstraction feature, Mike?
Yes. So the portfolio that you guys saw is a incomplete portfolio view that we crafted specifically for this demo and actually for a month ago when we did this in Singapore, or a few weeks ago. The new portfolio page will make provision for NFTs, and someone also asked a few questions about Hero. When we bring back Hero, we are also going to introduce dynamic NFTs. What those NFTs will do, why you would want to mint one, and how it makes for an even more gratifying experience in using Sweat Wallet, I think we should save for the next live stream. But yes, there will be a place to view your NFTs. You will be able to mint an NFT, and you'll be able to receive NFTs and view them all in your NFT collection inside Portfolio.
Fantastic.
And there's one tiny thing that really excites me, and I know that's stupid, and laugh at me if you want, but we actually have a way of making your NFTs, which are legs, right, for obvious reasons, but we have a way of making sure that your NFT evolves with your level of physical activity. So if you had a lazy day, you're going to have spaghetti legs next day. If you done 20,000 steps, you're going to have real broiler chicken kind of nicely shaped legs. And if you've done just an average, it's just going to be an average leg. And you know what? It's not going to be just you that's going to see that. It's going to be visible to other kind of participants in the app. So if you've been really inactive, you should expect that somebody will prod you and say, lazy day, what happened?
All right. Next question. Can we convert tiny leftover BNB gas in the wallet back to sweat, Mike?
Yeah. So once multi-chain's out, the progression of that then is introducing multi-chain trade or multi-chain swaps, where that's exactly what that is. So you would be able to swap your leftover BNB on BNB Smart Chain for some sweat on Ethereum or sweat on Near. Where we're at with that now is in the final stages of technical evaluation of a few partners that provide multi-chain swap. What's important for us is making sure that they don't just support Near as well as these 5 chains everyone saw today, but the chains that we are looking at abstracting as well, chains like Solana and Ton and the whole list of them. Yeah, it'll be a 2025 release though. We can't expect multi-chain swaps in 2024.
All right, the last question. Can you talk more about your current strategy targeting Gen Alpha? Oleg, do you have any thoughts on Gen Alpha? That's 2010 to 2025.
Well,
must be a trip to Japan.
That's my children.
It must be a trip to Japan.
No, you know, I can tell you that's my kids. They have Sweat wallets, and I can tell you how I use Sweat wallet with my children. If they want to get more pocket money, I just buy Sweat from them. So they want to get more pocket money, they got to be more active, and then they sell it to me. And yeah, I pay them higher than the market rate, but you know, kind of, they are my children. So if you have Gen Alpha around you, this is definitely a use case that I would encourage you to use with your teenagers. It's a lot of fun and subject for a lot of very funky conversations we have.
And one thing to add there also additionally is there something we included in one of our keynotes in Singapore talking 24/9 is a very horrifying statistics, and that is that in the last WHO report around inactivity is that adolescents between 10 and 19-year-olds are roughly 81% of that entire population around the world are considered inactive. 81%. That is essentially 4 out of 5 adolescents are inactive, meaning that today's sedentary lifestyle and iPads and iPhones and games are essentially immobilizing an entire generation. So that is definitely up to us to find better strategies on how to activate and move them again.
And this is one of the reasons why I'm convinced in the long run, Sweat is going to be used in a lot of games, because you know what? My son plays games. If I knew that he can progress the fastest in the game by doing shitloads of steps in order to buy, I don't know, the next gun, the next skin, the next spell, the next whatever, I would be a lot more inclined to give him time, because I know that he's not going to be rewarded purely for spending hours, you know, kind of staring at the screen, but he's going to have to be physically active in order to progress faster.
And with that, Oleg, Mike, and everybody who joined throughout, whether it's on X, LinkedIn, YouTube, we want to thank you so much for being with us on this token holders briefing. And Mike, Oleg, any last words before we jump up?
No, well, no, actually, yes. Keep the feedback coming. We're very, very interested in what interests you, what we should do different next time. And I also noticed that there was a question about when is the next one. It's going to be announced the end of first week of January for one very simple reason. We are going to have real kind of run into Christmas and New Year's, and we're going to be building. And when we're back from New Year's, first, second, and third, that is going to be one of the first things that we plan, we'll announce, and you will know the date.
I mean, I'm a product guy, so all I'm going to say is please invite friends on Sweat Wallet Lite on Telegram. Please improve the quality of your home cooked meals by asking AI for recipes and just do away with grandma's recipes and walk. And thank you for, I mean, it's a pretty overwhelming, large amount of people that have joined. So thanks for everyone that sat through an hour and a half. That's actually quite astounding.
See you guys in 3 months.
Huge gratitude. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and get moving.
Thank you for your attention, guys.
Discover a new way to use your sweat. Shop for real products, digital vouchers, and exclusive offers directly from your Sweat wallet. Found something you like? Click to see more details and learn how you can make it yours. When you're ready to make a purchase, simply select your preferred offer and complete the transaction. Once you're set, confirm your purchase using Sweat. Your product or voucher will be confirmed almost instantly. If you don't have Sweat Wallet yet, download it now and join the movement. If you already do, make sure your app is up to date to explore these new offers. Shop, save, and enjoy the journey as we evolve together.